Welcome to Snacks Weekly on Data Science. This podcast is all about making data science and machine learning knowledge accessible and less intimidating. Today, we are going to talk about a generative AI solution to automatically generate compelling email subject lines. This topic is based on a tech blog with the title Increasing User Engagement with Generative AI and Rejection Sampling, written by machine learning engineers from Nextdoor. You can find the blog link in this episode's description for further references. Throughout this episode, we will dissect the topic from both business and data science angles. Now, let's dive in. On the business side, let's take a look at what is the problem to be solved. Nextdoor is a social networking app for neighborhoods. The company provides a private online network to keep residents informed of the latest news in their neighborhood and help build stronger communities around the world. One of the ways for the company to drive user growth and engagement on the platform is through email marketing. One type of the email message includes a single post that they think the user might be interested in and want to engage with. For us users who have ever used an email service, you know that the subject line is very important. If the email subject line is not raising any interest, you may not even click to open it. Then it's impossible for you to engage with the post inside. So, for the company, one key business need is to make the email subject line interesting and the user want to engage or click it. Creating subject line that is engaging is not simple. Previously, the company leverages a method to automatically use the post first a few words as the subject line. This is a simple yet reasonable solution. However, sometimes the first a few words of the post may not well represent the post information. Many of the posts may have the first few words as "Hello, neighbors," and that doesn't carry any meaningful information. So, if this is used as the subject line of the email, people is not likely to click on that. That's the reason the team is seeking for better solutions to improve the email subject line, to drive higher click-through rate and a better user engagement and growth for the company. Now that we understand the business problem to solve, let's shift gear and dive into the machine learning side to see how the solution is built. To understand the solution, we need first introduce what is generative AI. Generative AI, in short for Generative Artificial Intelligence, is a type of AI that can create new content and ideas. It uses advanced algorithms and deep learning methods to create content that has characteristics related to the training data it was provided. One of the most popular generative AI tools so far is called ChatGPT. You can ask it almost anything, and it would provide answers, very reasonable ones. For those audiences who may not yet experienced using ChatGPT, I highly recommend to try it out. Now we know what is generative AI and the power of that. For the email subject line problem, one simple approach seems to be input the full post content into ChatGPT and ask it the question, write an email subject line that customers like to click the most. Then it will send some suggested headlines directly. Does this mean the problem is solved and this is a reasonable solution to be used directly? Not necessary. The team tested this solution through an A/B testing approach, where for some of the emails sending out, they using the previous generated subject lines created directly using the first few words of the post. The other subset of the emails sending out, they using the ones generated from ChatGPT. And then they found that the ones generated from ChatGPT does not lead for higher engagement. So what is the problem? Well, there are two problems observed along the way. The first problem is that, however advanced ChatGPT may be, it does not have the user engagement history information from the platform Nextdoor's email marketing team, and it does not know which subject line would be more likely clicked by the users. Without that information, the generated subject line is more likely to be very general and may not perform well comparing with the current approach. The second problem observed from the generative AI results is that the returned subject line sometimes does not necessarily truly reflect the post information. This is referred to as the generative AI's hallucination behavior. A generative AI hallucination is a model output that is either false or nonsense. So the term hallucination is used because it's very similar to the way humans experience hallucinations. With this generative AI hallucination, the headlines provided by the email would be different from the content of the post. That would erode customer trust. To tackle these problems, the team works on two components to improve the whole system. The first component is to make reasonable prompt engineering so that the result generated from the ChatGPT is not hallucinating. Prompt engineering is a technique used in artificial intelligence to improve language models for specific tasks. The goal of prompt engineering here is to generate authentic subject lines with no hallucination. What the team did was that, given a post, they asked ChatGPT to create a subject line by extracting the most interesting phrases of the post without any rewriting. Because it is extracting the user's original writing, it can prevent the ChatGPT to be too creative and making hallucination statements. The second component to address the problem is to do reject sampling with a reward model. The team developed a reward model whose job is to predict if the user would prefer a subject line generated from ChatGPT or the original subject line from the first few words of the post. This reward model helped to gauge whether the subject line generated by the ChatGPT is better or not than their original approach. And they only using the subject lines that is better than the original approach. One question comes about this one is, how to develop this reward model? Well, the model is developed in this way. Given a subject line and the post content, they train a machine learning model to predict if this subject line would generate more engagement. And The way they train this model is through running iterative A/B testing. The result from the A/B testing help to fine-tune this model and making improvements on this model's prediction power. This reward model, after trained with multiple iterations of the user's engagement results, can help to propagate the original ChatGPT's results. Putting these two components together, this is the final generative AI solution. There are two stages. The first one is to use proper prompt engineering to generate a set of subject lines. The second stage is to use the reward model, which is properly fine-tuned based on users' engagement information, to reject those which is not better than the original subject line, and only keep those which is better than the subject line. In this way, this solution will perform better than the original approach. Now we have discussed both the business problem and the technical solution. Let's wrap it up. In this episode, we take a look at what is generative AI and how the company Nextdoor developed a customized solution to improve email subject line creation. This solution achieved their business needs and enabled the company to drive higher user engagement. If you like the content of this episode, please subscribe to the channel. Give me a 5-star review and leave a comment. Your feedback is very appreciated, and I'll see you next week.